Well, welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling. I shall see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, as we'll be vibing out, relaxing, chilling, all cool, shooting some people outside of school. I feel like I use that start like far too often in these Animal Crossing episodes, don't I? It's always Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, despite fact. I mean, actually, I did. This is a rare occasion where I actually did watch the show when I was younger, or watch the media material that I'm referencing for no apparent reason. But talking about media material I'm referencing, whoa, what's happening in Critical Role right now? Oh my god, that was like major spoilers by the way. Well, okay, spoilers that something happens in last week's episode or something. I've not been watching Critical Role campaign for you, but whoa. I've read what happens and whoa is all I say. I'm not expand on that. Anyway, good evening everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow it's 8:53 PM on Friday, September 16th, 2022. Label's here and we will probably ignore her because we have not spoken to her for probably like a year now or something, because you know, it's just, it's not luck of a draw label per se, but you just happen to be one of the NPCs who tends to be kind of annoying to do stuff with, you know. CJ's one, you're another one. I don't know who another one is. Anyway, I'm recording a little bit late tonight because, you know, as per usual. Well, I could have recorded a bit earlier, but I chose not to instead. Because I didn't really feel like it, but, you know, now I do feel like recording, and now we just had to sort of fumble around a bit for something to talk about, you know. Part of me almost wants to talk about Critical Role, but obviously I'm not going to, because that is major spoilers, and well, not that I think I have much overlap between people who watch Critical Role and people who watch these videos, but whoa is just sort of what's going on. And people have already talked about it enough, and I don't want to be one of those people who like say spoilers in the title. You know, I said my piece about spoilers multiple times before about how I personally don't mind them, but you know, if you are the type of person who randomly says them, then you should reconsider the choices which led up to that sort of situation, because spoilers do matter a lot for people, and just because it doesn't matter to you doesn't mean it doesn't matter for other people. And I suppose being aware of that is, you know, the first step to empathy and relationships with others is understanding that other people's perspectives are not your own. I don't know why I'm sort of like saying this in such a lecture way, because I like to think of people who watch these videos are sort of self-aware enough and courteous enough to take others' thoughts and feelings into consideration, to be perfectly honest. But so yes, I apologise for coming out at you a little bit strong. Cornum is actually here. Wait, hold on, last time we played at like 11 PM or something, and he wasn't here? So, do you think he goes away at 9 PM? Do you think if we stay here till 9 PM, we'll see him disappear into the sunset? I don't know what I'm saying. And I need to think of like a conversation topic to actually talk about. What can I talk about? What have I been thinking about recently? What's been like on my mind? I don't know. See, it's a thing which happens whenever we come to the sort of like conversation topic finding portion of a video, is I always try and think about game news which happened recently, but you know, there's more to life than just games news, so at some point it's going to slowly sort of run out. What can I think about? I don't know. I'm just staring at my floor. There's a tissue box next to my bin. You might be like, why is it next to your bin instead of in your bin? Well, that's because in my bin is stuff which can't be recycled, and next to my bin is stuff which can be recycled. And you might be like, whoa, you sort your recycling? Yeah, I feel like most people do. Whoa, hold on a minute. Hollow Knight Silk Song is coming to PS5 and PS4. Okay, never mind. False alarm. I thought that was an announcement date. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, recycling. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, recycling isn't like the hardest thing to do in the world. I don't know how it actually works in other countries, going to be honest, but at least I'll explain the system here in the UK. Is that in the UK your local council, whatever, will collect, will organise whatever the collection is for the rubbish you have. And as it works in most councils is you have a bin for general waste, you'll have a bin for recyclables, and you'll have a bin for garden waste and a separate bin for food waste. But there are some other areas which might separate them out further or not separate them out nearly as much. I don't know them off the top of my head, but this is just some ones I've been familiar with in the places that I've lived. Just in general, basically, you have a separate bin for waste that can't be recycled and things which can be recycled. And, you know, I mean, but there's lots to say about the topics of recycling. Obviously, you should do it if you can do it. Well, actually, this is where you go asterisk again, where people who are much more environmental, like, I'm not really sure, a mental conservationist, and I'm not really sure what the title would be like, okay, first you should reduce, then you should reuse, and then you should recycle, as, you know, like sort of like last resort thing, which is, you know, fair enough, you know, that's a fair point to raise up. But, you know, let's just pretend we're at a recycle stage, because we are. yeah, it's at least rather common in the UK to have separations for waste bins and recycling bins, and I don't know how most families necessarily do it, but I like how you put the separator in. I don't know how necessarily all families do it, but at least it's been very common in my family in a way. But I've done things to always have like separate bins for throwing stuff away and recycling stuff, because then it just makes it easier to take to the big bin. And then, you know, like every whatever day of a week, the people who collect garbage, the garbage collectors will come along and they'll empty their bins. Or no, there'll be one for recycling, there'll be one for garbage collection. I'm not actually sure there's a separate one for food, because normally they come quite early, so I don't always see them. The people who collect recycling tend to arrive very early, at least where I live, and the ones who collect the general waste come a lot later. So I see the general waste ones, I don't often see recycling ones to see if they have separate food waste collection compared to, oh, hello, who is it, Vivian? Compared to the general recycling. I imagine they must do. But you can also, yeah, at least in my area, you can get a separate like vegetation recycling bin where you can recycle like dead branches and things like that, like dead leaves, etc, etc, which, you know, I'm not sure if that's always a thing. I think you have to pay money to have that sort of bin. That only really matters, I suppose, if you do a lot of gardening or whatever, but I don't, so much for that. But yeah, I don't know, recycling bins. And at least it's pretty common to see in most places nowadays is most places nowadays to see separate recycling bins. You see them all over London. You'll have like those two-sided bins. One side will be like the waste bin and the other side will be a recycling bin. Also, a lot of the times they have like a mini sort of like ashtray at the top, which I assume is meant to be some sort of deterrent to people smoking just on the streets. But I'll be honest, I haven't seen many people smoking on the streets. I would have thought chewing gum would have been a bigger problem, especially in those sort of cities like London, but maybe I just haven't been paying enough attention to people smoking. But I don't know, maybe I'm just going to the wrong parts of London for smokers, ? But I haven't really seen all that many people smoke, to be perfectly honest. It's just sort of like I don't know, because it used to be a super common thing, which I have not noticed nearly as much anymore, at least in London, that people would chew gum, spit it out onto the pavements, and it would just sort of get kicked into the actual pavement itself, because people, you know, would walk over it, whether unbeknownst to them or not. And it's, I don't know, I just have this memory of watching a news report, I must have been like 10 or something, on BBC about people clearing out using like power jet washers to wash gum off of pavements, and how there was some sort of movement to stop people from, you know, like chewing gum and spitting it out onto the pavement or something. I don't know, we're just going from tangent to tangent, I'm not gonna lie, but I guess we're going to talk about chewing gum maybe today. It's a bit of a horrific sort of thing to think about, but I remember back in like our Chinese school, it took place in a secondary school who I'm not going to name or anything, because obviously that's personal information and stuff, but all the desks, the underneath of the desks had chewing gum on them. It was just absolutely like coated with chewing gum to a ridiculous degree. And, you know, at that age I went to Chinese, Chinese school on the weekend. I thought that was just going to be the norm at secondary school. I wasn't actually in secondary school yet, I was in primary school when I did all that stuff, but, you know, I just assumed all the desks by norm would have gum underneath, but turns out it was just that school, or at least the secondary school I went to certainly didn't have any chewing gum stuck under the desks. Maybe it was much more common in different schools and different areas. I'm not really one to judge or whatever. It was kind of gross though, I'm not gonna lie. This is an incredibly gross memory, so I apologise for, you know, retelling it, but, you know, it's irrelevant. It's relevant, I suppose, but I can't remember what year I was in Chinese school. I was in one of the older years, like third last year, second last year, or something like that. And then I remember these other girls in the year above me, you know, there was just like a group of them, I don't know, chatting about whatever, I don't really know what they were doing. And then there was this one kid who was like in the first year or the second year, he was like a real troublemaker. I remember like everyone knew him because he would just go into other people's classes and just be an absolute nuisance, especially during like break time and that sort of thing. Well, I can't remember why, but he just like picked one of the gums off underneath a desk and just started chewing it and then just like showing off. And I remember at the time thinking, and even now I'm thinking gross, but at the time I was like gross, but now I'm thinking incredibly gross. Why would you do that? You know, it's certainly, you might be like, oh, kids will be kids, some, you know, kids just do that sort of thing, I'm sure. most people have like wild stories of them doing like crazy things as a child. Yeah, probably true, to be honest. You know, kids, you know, don't always think through the consequences of our actions necessarily, but, you know, I kind of wish I didn't remember that memory. How to delete memories. It's just like, why would you do that? It's so incredibly gross. But anyway, maybe, you know, if there's any consolation, maybe I just made it up in my head. Maybe that didn't actually happen. It's just a false memory which I've implanted into my brain. We should probably look around and see if Celeste is here. Does Celeste arrive at this time? Virgo fragment, that does make sense, because we are still in the Virgo thing time until 22nd of September. I was going to say September, and I was like, that's not a month. September. But yeah. Anyway, chewing gum. You know, on that gross note, what do I think of chewing gum? I don't really like chewing gum, I'm going to be honest. Chewing gum, like, my first experience with chewing gum was I was on a holiday with my family. We stayed at Caravan Park. I don't even remember where it is, but I made a friend who was also around the same age as me. I think we were like 6, 7-ish. I don't really know. I lost contact with him because I never got his contact details, and then, you know, it was a story for another time, but I was really sad for a long while. But, you know, I felt like we really became like best friends during that time, and then during that entire time I always used to, really sadly, I used to write his name. That sounds like such a tragic story. I used to write his name like on the, like, whenever we travel by car, and, you know, things were like condensed because it was really cold outside, on the window, and you can like draw stuff on it. I would always just like write his name backwards, so if he was outside and seeing it, he could read his name. That sounds like such a sad story, but obviously it makes no sense as a child, because no way is he going to see that. No, I hate the Y button in this game. Is also sprint. Wait, is it sprint? Hold on. I also just opened the Happy Own, not itinerary, what's it called? Portfolio place for really no apparent reason when I meant to open up them. This isn't even my Joy-Cons, which is the craziest thing. They're just skipping over things. Hey, Real Wrestling, that's the one we just did. Is that spoilers? That might have been spoilers. You can see the episode I pre-recorded. Because I think I mentioned it a couple of times, I'm going on holiday next week, so I won't be able to be here to record day of episodes anymore. I will have to record them in advance. But yeah, is Y sprint? Y is not even sprint. Why am I pressing Y like ever? What does Y? No, Y picks stuff up. Okay, I probably just fat fingered it, I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, but anyway, I met him, this ambiguous kid's name, who hopefully I haven't said. Not that it matters, because I don't know his surname or anything. I just vaguely remember what he looks like, you know, about 20 years ago or something. And he brought with him, he was like, because we're at a caravan site, my family was in a caravan, and he was like camping. He brought like this pack of, I don't even know, I think it was like fruit pastels chewing gum. I remember it was in a yellow packet, and it tasted super sweet, and it was like kind of red pinkish. Let's see, fruit pastels chewing gum. Let's see. It might not be fruit pastels, but it's that sort of thing. No, I don't think it was fruit gums. I cannot remember what brand it was. But it was super fruity, and I remember that was the first time I had chewing gum. And when I chewed it, and, you know, it tasted super sweet, it tasted super fruity, and I was like, wow, this is delicious. But the thing with chewing gum is, like, of course at the beginning it tastes, wow, it's amazing, this is the best flavour I've ever tasted, if you like artificial, you know, fruit sweet flavours. But then, you know, once that flavour sort of goes away and you finish chewing it, it's sort of just like, oh, it doesn't really taste of anything anymore, does it? It kind of doesn't taste great. Could have given that a pass, to be perfectly honest, but, you know, there it is. Discord messages. Oh, I should probably reply to this. I'll reply to this after this episode. And yeah, I don't know. That's just sort of like been my overall experience with chewing gum. You know, it tastes overwhelming for the first like 2 minutes, but it tastes all right from about minute 2 to minute 5, and then it just tastes terrible. It doesn't taste of anything from minute 5 to minute like 30 or something. You're just sort of doing it for the action of doing it. I suppose it's kind of like fidgeting. Or something, but I'm not really much of a fidgeter. I don't know, like, I certainly don't think so. I'm not really much of a fidgeter, and if anything, chewing gum is kind of like fidgeting for the mouth, which is not something which particularly appeals to me. You know, I don't want the sensation of me eating, well, okay, no, I talked about this before. The sensation of eating does not really appeal to me all that much, but, you know, the sensation of being satiated from, like, eating food, that's alright, you know. certainly wouldn't want to give that up. But, you know, if I had to give up food for it, then, you know, sorry food, but you're bye-bye. Sorry, my thoughts are just sort of all over the place right now. I don't know even how my conversation sort of links up, if it even does. What was I going to say? But yeah, chewing gum, it's not really my sort of jam. Neither is bubblegum, to be honest. Like, bubblegum's another one of those things, which is sort of like, I like the aesthetic of it, you know, that sort of street pop punk sort of vibes, you know, chewing bubblegum, bright colour bubblegum. Blowing bubbles, a little bit like soft delinquent sort of vibes, or whatever, you know. Again, me coming at it from like an artistic perspective, being like just imagining a character blowing bubblegum, pop street sort of clothing or something, baseball bat around the back, you know, like that character from, I forgot what that anime's called, but apparently it's actually like a horror anime, because I think that guy's like actually beats people up or something with a baseball bat. That's not really the vibes I'm trying to go for, but you know, so be it. It's like the idea of bubblegum I like, but you know, chewing bubblegum, I don't know. I've had bubblegum before. I don't think I've properly blown a bubble with it, but I don't know particularly how you do, to be honest. As I understand it, you're meant to chew it and then you're kind of like meant to stretch it over your tongue, stick out your tongue, and then blow as you retract your tongue, or something like that, and then it sort of like inflates itself up until it pops, and then you sort of like collect it back into your mouth, that's not really the right word, and then start chewing again. That's meant to be like how you're meant to consume quote-unquote bubblegum. Obviously, some people like that. If anything, it's kind of like advanced fidgeting for your mouth, you know. Chewing gum, basic level fidgeting. Bubblegum, advanced level fidgeting. What's above that? I don't know. Smoke rings? Makes no sense. Probably like tying a cherry stem or something into a knot with your mouth. But yeah, bubblegum and chewing gum never really been my things. And why is it that mint is such like a pervading flavour for chewing gum? I don't know. Is it? Surely people are not genuinely using it as a substitute to brush your teeth. Please don't. You know, if you are one of those people, please do just brush your teeth. You know, it takes no more than 2 minutes. It's so quick, and it will do you wonders with your dental hygiene throughout the rest of your life. It's so quick. You can spend those 2 minutes. Like, it's honestly, if you wake up and you only had 2 minutes to do things. Okay, maybe not 2 minutes, because if you had 2 minutes to do things and you had to like go to work or something, you probably should get dressed, I suppose, depending on what your pajamas are. But okay, so get dressed, and so get what you actually need to go to work or wherever you need to go. But the second most highest priority thing should be brush your teeth. You know, food, whatever, eat food when you're there. You know, you can starve without food, but you know, dropping that dental hygiene is a bad habit. That's probably one of the worst habits to drop, is losing your dental hygiene care, because it's something which is going to definitely bite you, but later on in life, you know, that, and also, you know, bad posture, I suppose. Those are two things you should really take care of, like your spine and your teeth, because they're under so much stress every single day, you know. I mean, you eat food 3 meals every single day, probably. Spine, constantly holding up your head, your very heavy head, might I add, you know, and possibly the pose you're sitting in right now, putting untoward stress on it. Don't do that, you know. Be considerate to yourself. Be kind to yourself, and brush your teeth properly. Don't chew gum as a substitute. I was like, that's not the right word. But I did have a friend back in university who she was drinking like this meal substitute, which is sort of like a calorific substitute rather than in the place of actually eating meals or whatever. I think it was particularly good if you went to a gym, because it was like high density protein or something. I'm not really sure, but had a bit of it. Tasted alright, I would say. You know, if that's all I had to eat for the rest of my life, I wouldn't complain. I'd be like, that's fine, as long as it was a balanced meal or whatnot. But I remember her mentioning the fact that because she wasn't chewing food anymore, it was sort of like weakening her jaw muscles were sort of like atrophying. I don't actually know how you say that. Atrophying. That sounds wrong, atrophying. You know, it's when you go to Google. But atrophying sounds wrong as well. Atrophying? I don't want atrophy, I want atrophying. Cambridge English Dictionary, come on. Do you have a pronunciation? Oh, here we go.
Atrophy.
No, it's atrophy. Atrophying. How do you say atrophy? Okay, I'm just going to say atrophying. And whatnot, so she started chewing gum to sort of like substitute it a little bit. I think if anyone else is in that same position, I think the sort of reconciliation she came to was she had 2 meals of that meal replacement and then 1 meal each day. I don't know what you should do. I'm not a nutritionist. We already came to Phoebe's home, but, you know, hello again. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say about that. Chewing gum, not my sort of thing. Bubble gum, I like the concept of it. Also, not really my sort of thing. I don't really know if I have anything else to say about that in general, to be honest. There's not really much you can say about chewing gum. Is it about that K-pop song? Chewing gum. You have chewing gum in cartoons or whatever. Isn't it a thing? No, I was going to be like, isn't it a thing in Ed, Edd and Eddy? And I was like, wait a minute, no, it's not. That was Jawbreakers. You remember that? Like, I don't know if anyone will remember that, but back in Facebook, there was that time where everyone changed their Facebook avatar to a cartoon in support of something. I don't remember because I also did it. I was also, you know, don't tell anyone, but you know, I don't think I was old enough to be using Facebook technically at the time. I think I was 12 or something, but because I remember talking to my primary school friends about it. Because I remember one of my primary school friends asked me why is everyone changing their picture to the cartoon character, and I told them why. I don't remember what it was. It was probably in support of something. Perhaps you might argue kind of like a pointless way of support, as a lot of these social media things tend to be, which, you know, fair enough. That does tend to be what we are, but, you know, maybe we can raise a little bit of money. Maybe some people would see that cause and be like, oh yeah, and donate some money to it. I like to look on the positive side of it. But yeah, that happened. Anyway, I set my avatar to Ed, Edd and Eddy. That was kind of like the long and short of what this rambling conversation was about. But yeah, chewing gum, I don't know. Is this what it's like to chew 5 gum? Who knows? And honestly, I don't really care to find out, you know. I'm not about 5 gum, I'm not about 7 gum, I'm not about 26 gum, or anything like that. It just, I don't know. I can't even remember buttons to do what I'm doing. Customization, that's what I want to do. Even now, I'm just like, I'm not interested in gum. In any sort of gum. You know? Things being chewy is not appealing to me, you know? How do I like my food? Most of the time, not chewy. I'm trying to think of a chewy food I like. Like maybe toffee? But toffee's not like extraordinarily chewy, is it? If anything, it feels quite dense. That's probably how I describe it. Oh no, I'm thinking of fudge. Not toffee. But I think of fudge. I do prefer fudge over toffee. Toffee's fine though. What chewy foods are there? You know, like, no one likes chewy meat, certainly. That's sort of like a given, you know. Well, probably a given. You know, some people don't like chewy meat enough that they decide not to even have meat. Whoa, crazy. So a joke just makes no sense. And I don't have anything against people not eating meat, by the way, you know. Honestly, I said it before, I was considering becoming a vegetarian, and I still think it's very plausible. In my future life, I will be vegetarian. Who knows? That's a point for a different time. I'm trying to think of chewy foods. Chewy noodles? Not great. Shouldn't have chewy noodles. Like my noodles not chewy. Chewiness. There's a whole Wikipedia article about chewiness. Foods typically considered chewy are caramel, rare steak, and chewing gum. Is rare steak chewy? I thought well done steak is chewy. It's actually one of the reasons like lamb is my least favourite of the generic meats, is because at least every time I had it when I was young, it was super, super chewy, and I hated it for whatever reason. I just hated constantly chewing something. Chewiness is empirically measured by the metrics of chew count and chew rate. You know, I guess it makes sense. There would be some sort of scientific definition to sort of classify exactly how chewy things are, but you would have thought they'd come up with a cool like unit for it or something. But chew count and chew rate, you know, props to them. It's very self-explanatory. I can't really sort of shame them for that. Chewiness is a mouthfeel sensation. What else is a mouthfeel? A child bites into a peach with a mouthfeel sensation such as juiciness. What on earth? Chewiness, cohesiveness, crunchiness, density, dryness, exquisiteness, fracturability, graininess, gumminess, hardness, heaviness, moisture absorption, moisture release, mouth coating, roughness, slipperiness, smoothness, uniformity of bite, uniformity of chew, viscosity, wetness. Wow. Honestly, nothing Nothing I've really even considered before, but of course, yeah, you know, things have different mouthfeels. Why wouldn't they, you know, give off different impressions? Anyway, basically long and short of it, I don't know, I need to see like a list of chewy foods, see if there's any of them I particularly like. What you like? These are all very difficult to do. Well, not that difficult. I guess we could do the wasp one. A beef jerky. Okay, so this is like sort of asterisk because I've had Iberico ham before, and to be fair, the very thin versions of that are not chewy. They sort of just melt in your mouth. Those are very tasty. You know, I'm not gonna throw the baby out with a bathwater on that thing. That's just tasty. Chewy candies, not my thing. But also, I don't have much of a sweet tooth. Ginger cookies? What? Oh, okay. It's not saying it's chewy. Indulgent chocolate chip cookies, which are very rich in taste. Flapjacks on pancakes are famous treat for their chewy texture. Okay, I guess. Wait, I don't know. Pancakes? I don't know, pancakes are particularly chewy. At least I wouldn't put them on chewy. I put them on like fluffy or airy, I suppose. Flapjacks, I guess. I don't know. Kind of depends how the flapjacks are made, to be perfectly honest. You know what? Okay, flapjacks I give you chewy. Certain sense of, certainly more chewy than most other desserts. But how highly do I rate them on my dessert scale? Not that high, to be honest. You know, I don't mind them. Oh, I didn't mean to do motion controls. Ah, well, whatever. Oh wait, we can click back? Nope. We just have to do it. Okay, fine, whatever. I'll do that exercise with my Joy-Con. Flapjacks. Oh yeah, just pro tip, if you ever want to make a dessert and you're just like, what sort of dessert I should make? Flapjacks, very easy to make. Some bakers prefer pliant pancakes. For a second I was like, are they thinking of American pancakes? But no, I just realised I was thinking of American pancakes. I wasn't even thinking about British pancakes, which are kind of more like crepes than American pancakes. Cereal and chocolate bars. Okay, yeah. To be fair, some sort of cereal bars can be quite chewy. But they're quite soft chewy, so I'm not really sure. I don't know. Very few things come close to the chewiness of gum, which is something I think is probably a good thing, if anything. I don't think you probably want many foods with the sort of texture consistency of gum. Chocolate bars is wild, though. I don't know what. Toffee chocolate bars, I guess? Chewy chocolate almond bar. I've never even heard of that. Dough-based bread can be quite chewy. Really? Boston brown bread. I guess, yeah, there's a lot of dense bread out there, which is surprisingly chewy. Not that I'm particularly an expert on bread or anything, but still. Noodles. Most noodles aren't chewy. I guess you could have chewy noodles, but I mean, even what's this? Jolmyun noodles. I don't even know what that is. Even the chewiest noodles I haven't been that chewy. But I suppose if anything, I should probably be lowering my standard of what chewy actually means. You know, chewing gum is probably sort of like the pinnacle amount of chewiness, and comparing everything to chewing gum is sort of a recipe to have a completely wrong sort of normalised scale, isn't it? You're kind of normalising everything at an extreme value rather than at the average. Meats. Yeah, beef jerky. That's kind of chewy, but you know, I do kind of like the salty taste. Kind of. Iffy. I don't know. It kind of feels like most chewy foods are kind of like candies and stuff like that, which I'm not really fond of in the first place. Ice? Oh no, it's food to avoid with braces. I was like, what? I just lost my mind over a description. Anyway, chewy foods, chewing gum. Not my sort of thing. Maybe it's your sort of thing. By all means, do what you want. Just please properly dispose of it. Don't just like stick it on the other side of a table, throw it on the pavement. On the pavement. Right nuisance that is. But anyway, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Adam across New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join my Dear Darling Discord. Follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.